He said, I felt like I should go pray for her. He goes, but I didn't want to be bugging anybody. He goes, so he just finally just walks around the curtain, puts his hands on this little baby, and he goes, I don't even remember what I said. He's telling me this, bawling his eyes out. He said, I just told God to this little baby, you'll live. I have one of my dearest friends back in southern Utah. His name's Ray. When I first moved down there, I was looking for a gym, and my son and I walked in, and he and his wife own this small little gym. This dude, he's a freaking Maori warrior from New Zealand. He played rugby. He competed world class in strongman competitions. He's not that much bigger than me, and this dude is like, no kidding, the strongest person I've ever seen in my whole life. Like he could like pick your car up or something. He's just crazy how strong he is. He had the roughest childhood you've ever heard of. His dad was a Scottish guy that passed through New Zealand, got a woman pregnant. Dad basically checked out. He's alcoholic, just a rough go. His mom didn't want him, so she passed him. He was in 7 different foster homes. Finally, he had his real dad, this guy that raised him. But his wife, that man's wife, was so brutal to him. So he just passed around. He got into gangs, gang banged hard. His brother died, other brother in prison, sister strung out. And he eventually found God, and this guy like changed his whole life. He's the sweetest guy you'd ever meet in your whole life, seriously. Now you wouldn't want to mess with Ray, but Ray's the sweetest guy you've ever met. He recently just had his 3rd baby, he and his wife. They were doing a midwife. They rushed to the hospital, and the midwife's like, you've got to rush. Or they rushed to the midwife, midnight. She goes, you need to rush to the hospital. Nurses are out there waiting. The baby had come out of the uterus inside of her stomach. The baby was literally all up in her ribs. So by the time they got in their C-section, any of you that have been through this, particularly if you're a husband, it's the strangest thing. You're like, honey, you're doing great. Oh, you're like, oh my gosh. And then back here, you're like, great, because there's like this tarp right here, you know. So anyway, he's watching this terrible experience happen. They pull out this lifeless little dead baby, purple and blue, and literally just kind of plop her down on the table like this. And they're trying to help her, but the baby's dead. She didn't survive. They're trying to help the mom. And Ray says to me, he goes, I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, as a father, right? I want to go help my little girl, this little baby girl. But he's like, I didn't want to be that dad that's moving all the nurses away. But he said, I felt like I should go pray for her. He goes, but I didn't want to be bugging anybody. He goes, so he just finally just walks around the curtain, puts his hands on this little baby, and he goes, I don't even remember what I said. He's telling me this, bawling his eyes out. He said, I just told God to this little baby, you'll live. And this little lifeless baby goes, The doctor, an hour later, the nurses told him that baby lived, and the doctor goes, the one I delivered this morning lived? Are you serious? They go, she's alive. By the way, this little baby is perfect. Because they thought she was going to have all these brain issues, and I mean, it's like a miracle baby. So this is happening, and Ray comes over to my house, and I pulled my wife aside. I said, I feel like I want to write Ray a check. They're in a really tough financial situation right now. I said, I want to write him a check to be able to see if we can maybe help him a little bit. She goes, let's do it. Wrote him a check, put it in a card, gave him the card. He didn't open the card. He gave it to his wife. Drives home, gives it to his wife, and his wife opens it. She goes, Ray, have you looked at this card? He goes, I just thought they wrote us a card. She goes, no, Ray, there's a check in the card. So he sends me a text, and he says, there's some things I can't say on text. I'm coming back over to your house. I said, okay. Knocks on my door. I open the door. We're standing there in the lobby, in the foyer of my little home. He gives me this hug and bawls his eyes out on my shoulder. Balls. Like snot bubble balls. Like he's holding me so tight. I'm like, Ray, I love you. I think you're going to suffocate me. He just squeezing me so tight, just bawling his eyes out. And after we had this super sweet moment, I said to him, I said, Ray, I said, I want you to know how honored I am to be able to write that check. I said, brother, it means so much to me that I can do that for you. I said, but can I say something to you? He goes, yes. I said, have you ever heard the idea of like give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish? Have you guys ever heard that expression? I said, can I share with you some steps to get you to where this is never your situation again? And he goes, I would do anything for that. So I taught him to maximize and then to minimize. Here's what I want you to do on your minimize. My friends, we want to go through your list of credit card statements and your list of all the subscriptions. How many of us just have a bunch of crap that gets charged every month? We don't even go to that gym anymore. Why do we still get charged $50 a month for that gym? Like, and you're like, I might go there sometime. No. We're not going to that gym. We haven't gone for 6 years, okay? So Ray went through each one of these little expenses, the little tiny dings that we have, and he cut out $687 a month of expenses. $687 a month. So what happened? We started ticking up his maximize, his income level, and then we started to tick down his expense level. Because guess what happens to most people in the country? As their income goes up, guess what happens to the expense line? It goes up with it. Or it goes like this. It outpaces the income. And then he raised $100,000 in debt right now. $100,000. He's just walking me through it. By the way, regardless of where you're at right now, this is a judgment-free discussion, my friends. Judgment-free, because no one ever taught us all this stuff. But I said, Ray, in 18 months you'll be out of the 100. 10 months from now, 10 years from now, you'll be a millionaire. How many of you would like that? 10 years from now to be a freaking millionaire, dude. So here's what we did. We maximized, minimized $687. Now check this out. Here's what we did. Once we got the expenses, follow me through on this, my friends. It's called a debt snowball. Let's just call it 700. 687. Let's call it 700 to make the math round. $700 a month. We're going to go down. I said, you're still used to spending that money. So take that money and go plow it towards your next debt. I'll give you an example. He has 2 cars. The car debt total is $600. Well, if he takes the $700 and plows away at the $600 a month payment, he's eventually going to pay the cars off. Now he has $700 plus $600. He has $1,300 a month to plow towards the next thing. Did everyone follow that? And you just I said, Ray, you're already used to spending it. You're used to it. You're living that life right now. Plow it into your debt. Plow it into your debt. And then that's going to create this. Maximize here, minimize here, and now we've created, write this in your notes, a gap. A gap. The gap's going to lead to step 3. Step 3 is we're going to build cash flowing assets. We're going to build cash flowing assets. We're going to build, by the way, what's an asset? I'd never heard the term in my whole life when I was 22 years old. When I first learned some of this stuff. What's an asset? An asset is something that generates cash for you every month, regardless of whether you continue to exchange time or energy. How freaking nice would that be? Something's paying you every single month, even if you're not exchanging time, you're not exchanging energy, it still pays you every single month. You're not behind the chair, you're not selling anything, and it's still paying you every single month. How many of us would like more assets in our life? Say yes. My friends, this is how you become free. Not only you, but your kids and your grandkids. We build these assets. So here's what we do. We maximize, we minimize, and then we build. Now, let me give you a quick thing. If we were to go play golf, I'm a horrible golfer, by the way, but check this out. Imagine we go play golf together. And before we start, I say, listen, here's the deal. Just to make it fun, I'm terrible at golf, but just to make it fun, let's bet 10 cents a hole. So whoever wins the hole gets 10 cents. Would you be willing to bet 10 cents a hole just to make it more fun? Yes, easy. 10 cents is no big deal. Okay. And I say, all right, one last quick thing. How about we do this? How about we do 10 cents a hole, but we double it every hole? So hole 2 is worth 20 cents, hole 3 is worth 40 cents, then 80 cents. Is anyone stressed out about the 10 cents? No. Is anyone stressed about doubling it? No. Let's go. 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40, 80, 160, 320, 320 would be 640. No big deal. Guys, we're 15 holes in, and guess what we're at? 15 holes in. We only have 3 left. We're at $1,600. You're like, 1,600? How'd I get there? But whatever. We're at 3 holes left. At the end of the 18, the last hole's worth over $13,000. So what happened? Little 10 cents is not that much, but it doubled, and then it doubled, and then it doubled. So write this in your notes. A dollar's not a dollar. A dollar is not a dollar. A dollar is not a dollar. What does that mean, my friends? The crap that we buy costs way more than just the dollar. So I want you to write 3 quick things in your notes. We're going to keep going fast here. 3 quick things. Number 1. Poor people buy, below that write middle class people buy, and below that write rich people buy. Poor people buy, middle class people buy, rich people buy. So one under the other. Poor people buy, middle class people buy, rich people buy. Here's what we're going to do. Poor people buy stuff. They just buy a whole bunch of random crap. And if you're feeling like you're like, I have a lot of stuff, no judgment. Remember we said earlier, this is a judgment-free discussion. Step 2, middle class people buy liabilities. They start making some dollars. How many of you are making more money than anyone you've ever known? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm making more than my mom, I'm making more than my dad. Like, I'm making more than all my friends. Guess what we do? We go buy a Corvette. We're like, hey. Like, we want to just like like flex for everybody, you know. Middle class people buy liabilities. Liabilities are things that depreciate in value. They go down in value. They cost you money to run it. Guess what rich people do? They buy assets. They buy things that pay them every month. So poor people buy stuff. Middle class people buy liabilities. Rich people, which is all of you, buy assets. We maximize, we minimize, we create a gap, but we don't go waste the gap. We use the gap to go build assets. So write this in your notes. We're going to go quick. It's called Rule of 72. Rule of 72. Rule of 72 simply says this. How long does it take to double your money? Rule of 72 says how long does it take to double your money? What you would do is you would take the interest rate that you're earning and you would divide it into 72, and it will give you the amount of months or years it's going to take you to double the money. So if you had a 15% interest rate, you're earning 15% on your money, it's going to take you 5 years to double your money. Okay, from left to right in your notes, we're going to go fast. Keep up with me. Left, right, side right, monthly, then write yearly in the middle, and write 10 years on the right. Monthly on the left side of your page, in the middle write yearly, and then write 10 years. Because here's how I want you to start thinking about the dollar. The dollar's not all a dollar. My friends, this is how we're going to build empires. You told me earlier game to build empires. You're still game to build empires, right? Okay, good. Just checking. Stay with me here. I know we're heading into lunch. Stay with me. This will change your life. You learn this stuff. $500 a month. Write 500 in the month side. $500 a month is, I think it's pretty awesome to earn an extra $500, but it's not going to change any of our lives necessarily. But we put $500 into a year, it's $6,000 in a year. So if you're used to making $61,000, which is the median average, now you're making $67,000. Why? Because all you did is you added $500 a month, which is $6,000 in a year. Everyone with me so far? $6,000 in a year is $60,000 over 10. $60,000 over 10. Okay, do one more. $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month, probably not going to change your life, the 1,000 itself, but if we could maximize our income, $1,000 a month is how much per year? 12,000 instead of 61. Now we're at 73. And I know most of you are making way more than this. I'm trying to use it to illustrate the point. 12,000 a year is how much over 10 years? 120 grand. My friends, what if we could compound the 120 grand? What if the 120 grand every 5 years compounded? 5 years later, it's worth 240. 5 years later, 480,000. 5 years later, 960. 5 years later, 1.7. 20 years from now, let me ask this question. How old are you going to be in 20 years? I know, that's what you think. How many of us are like, I'm getting old enough to know that 50 years old is not actually that old? Do you know what I'm saying? Or 60, like heaven forbid you're 40, you're like, dude, I'll be 60. You're 25, you'll be 45. Is 45 young these days? Now, 60, back when our parents were growing up, may have been old. 60 today, you look fresh. You got your whole life ahead of you, right? Because of the work all of you ladies do, okay? So check this out. All you did was earn $1,000 extra a month. And it's worth $1.7 million when you're 55 years old. Did everyone follow that? The $1,000. You said, $1,000? Not even that big of a deal. It's because you didn't buy stuff, you didn't buy liabilities, you bought assets. Was that helpful at all? Yeah. So I worked with Ray, laid out this plan, and we've got this thing built to where he's going to go with this. My friends, we're going to maximize, we're going to minimize, we're going to build. Poor people buy what? Middle class people buy what? Rich people like all of you buy what? My friends, this is how we start building empires. Step one, let's go maximize this thing. Let's go freaking make more dollars. They just rolled out this new plan for salon. Guys, figure this stuff out. Go get good at it. Go build new revenue streams. Build your skills. Build your consistency. Get better at what you do. Become excellent at what you do. The best in the world. I'm one of the very, very, very best. In fact, I'm probably the very best in the world at what I do. And I don't say that to you like, that was bragging. Listen, worked hard for it, dude. I'm probably the #1 earner in my entire profession. And I share this with you to say, I have no college education. I sold cartoon Bible movies at the mall. But I got really good at it, and I maximized. That's what you want to do. Become the best at what you do.